Okay, so welcome folks. Welcome to our workshop today on leading teams, and in particular working on mindset and skill set, and what I feel will be really important to help your team to get right. And also we're going to focus in on you because you're a very important part of that whole area. Okay, so I have a few slides that I want to share with you, but today is definitely very participatory, and I want to help you get some of the thinking work done while you're here. Okay, I also want to make sure that it is practical, and that I want to really help you to step back, while you're taking this time out of the office, that you're doing some of the thinking, and that I'm giving you a different lens perhaps through look at the work, and at what it is, I suppose, that that you want to achieve also. Okay. So what I wanted to take a look at today is really a little to give you a little bit of time to rethink team leadership, and what does that mean for this year, and what are the areas that I feel will really help you to do a bit of rethinking on. And that mindset area, a few people tell me that they're working with different types of teams, they're working with multi-generational teams, and really what helps people across the board in terms of different types of people on your team is really that area of finding purpose. And we'll take a little look at that. And then, of course, what are the skill sets? So the mindset and the skill sets in sales that I feel are important. First, let me take okay, Sylvie found her audio. Welcome, Sylvie. Welcome, Sylvie. So first, I want to take you back for a minute to July of 2019, and my friend Andy here, he is a volunteer for the RNLI off the coast of Wales. And what that means really is that he's on call a lot and can get emergency calls. So literally he just got home after work and just, sat down on the couch, and the next thing his pager goes off and he's in action mode. And within 15 minutes, he's leading his team out on the open water because 2 canoeists had been reported missing, hadn't come home when they said they would. So luckily, they found the first person within a few minutes, but that person, while okay, was very concerned for his friend who was out of his canoe last time he saw him and gone over in that direction. So they immediately sprang into action, got that guy into the boat, and headed off in that direction. Now, what can happen out on the open water is that they can have a few false sightings, and they it could be debris, it could be a seal. So that happened once or twice, but at this stage it was getting dark, and Andy really needed to make a call. And he had a choice. He had a choice whether to call the search off and call in the helicopter so they could do a quicker, broader sweep from the air, or he had one other choice. And this is what he decided to do. He decided to turn off the engine and just listen. And within 30 seconds, they heard a faint whistle. And they went in that direction and they found their man. So listening really saved the day, and turning off the noise. And Andy is, he's a sales leader himself. He runs a small business. He has a team. And he said that this really helped him to think through, sometimes there's just too much noise in our business, and we're not creating that space in which to think, in which perhaps to rethink, and and also for our team, what is the noise? What is their environment like? And how are you creating space for them? space for them in which to grow, space for them in which to think. Okay, so the strategies that I'm sharing with you today, just to share, some of my clients have helped Brian to get a piece of business worth 5 million over the line. It was a fabulous conference that he got in Canada. Justine here, they grew their conversion rate by 7%. And when Justine runs quite a large business, and so that was in multiples of millions in terms of growth, where multiple people who have participated in my Steps to Win program have earned business worth 60,000 in their first time implementing it, 220,000. Heather here, she grew her conversion rate with a client by 75% because she made 3 changes to her proposal. And there's a number of different people who on a global level are doing something different, and that's really what helps. And Marina, I should have you up here, right? Because we've been working together for quite a while, and what I really love is that when everything started to change and our industry started to go into chaos in 2020, that you focused in on your team. First of all, you did a rethinking session with me, and second of all, you upskilled your team to make sure that they were there and able to win the business that was available in 2020 and 2021. So mindset and mindful. Sometimes as leaders, as business owners, as been in a really busy not just industry but environment, that our mind gets quite full and can feel a little bit like this. So for the purpose of today, I want to do a quick exercise with you that'll help to perhaps clear your mind a little bit, so that you can focus in and we can free up some space in our mind for thinking that little bit different. So has everybody got a pen and paper? If I can ask you to grab a pen and paper and just write. Okay, and this is a very good exercise that works when your mind is feeling a little full, or you have a number of choices to make and you're wondering which one should I go with. So pick anything that you want to write it, whatever comes to your mind. Okay, and don't edit. Don't say, oh no, I won't write that. If it's in your mind, just write it. And that there is a psychology behind this. It does help to just clear the mind, and sense does eventually come. Some people recommend writing 3 pages. When I have time, I do that. But just for the moment, just do a brain dump, okay? And just start writing. Sylvie, if you could turn on your camera, it'd be fabulous. We'd love to see you. Okay, have you got pen and paper there, Sylvie, or time to write? And again, don't worry about it making sense. Could be anything. Doesn't even have to do with business. Doesn't have to flow. Just write. I'll just give you 1 more minute, okay? Okay, how did that go for you? Yeah, anybody get,
Good.
yeah, good. Anybody get a little bit of clarity on something? Did it feel good to empty your head? Yeah, hopefully all of those things. Okay. So for a minute, I want to focus in on you. And when we want something to change, sometimes we tend to look at other people and how can we change them? But really, if you want change to happen, the place to start is with you. And how can you, look at yourself? How can you step back and see, what is it that you need to do different? When COVID hit, the first thing I did was think about my clients. And I remember one client in particular kept saying to me, Kira, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I've lost 5 million in business this week. She was a small business owner in the US, and this was the end of February. And that really stayed with me. And I thought, well, how can I help? I can't stop events being cancelled, but I can help her control her reaction to it. And that's something that we have control of, and nobody can ever take that from us in any scenario. And, being in the travel industry, we're also familiar with this. We are told on an airplane in time of emergency not to assist someone else first, to put on your own oxygen mask, because if you're not taking care of you, you cannot be in a position to help somebody else. And that's so true in terms of leadership also. So I'd like you to think for a minute, what are little rituals? What are things that you do already, perhaps that help set you up for success? Even simple things like first thing in the morning, do you have a morning ritual? It really helped me over the last number of years to focus in on this and to get the morning before I am in the office part right, to some degree, something that I need to do for myself before I engage with everybody else. And for me, it is getting up before my children and sometimes doing a little bit of writing, like 5 minutes in terms of 5-minute journal. But I do love to do some meditation, and I get an awful lot from Insight Timer. It's a wonderful app. I'm happy to send the details to you. But what are some rituals, and maybe put it in the chat box there, that you do for yourself, or that you've been thinking about, that you think, I've been thinking about this for a while, haven't done them yet, but I'd like to. Sometimes if you put it in writing, that helps. Okay, so put it in the chat box there, and I have a few ideas here. My friend Amy Infante has written the Guided Hospitality Sales Planner. It's something she did in 2021. I don't think she did it this year, but it is a wonderful resource. But she has rituals for success written out at the beginning. And of course, one is exercise. That's another thing that I really like to do, and I miss it in these in the month of January, when it's just been way too wet. But exercise is fabulous. Unplugged family time. Organizing my workspace, something I definitely need to spend a little bit of time on. Blocking uninterrupted prospecting time, so how are we enabling our sales team to do that? And the uninterrupted part, I think, is very important. I know in my hotel sales days, I used to write on my chair, gone fishing, so that people wouldn't come up and bother me. But what I really loved to do was booking myself into a suite. And I just went up there to prospect because nobody bothered me, but also I loved the environment. You know, it was a beautiful suite and it just helped me to do better prospecting. So meditating is here, reading or sharing industry articles, belly laughing. Okay, how often are we creating that space for ourselves? Sometimes it just means calling a good friend, right? Completing a surprise act of kindness, learning something new. That's something that is very, very important to me. Reaching out to inactive prospects, taking action on something I've been procrastinating on. I could write a few things on that. Going to bed early and early to rise. I love to be in bed by 10 myself, but it doesn't work for everybody. Reaching out to past customers and adding value. And we'll speak more about that adding value piece in a little bit, but I think it's definitely an area where a lot of salespeople in this industry can definitely get better at, and making a gratitude list. So, Annabelle, you love to have a breakfast routine during the week. Never take time to have a proper breakfast, but haven't had the motivation to get bread and make myself a nice breakfast table. Fabulous. And you know, how nourishing, what a wonderful start to the day that is, and you know, something that you have control on. So as you being a new director of sales, I would recommend you making that a little ritual for yourself and a priority. So Marina, yeah, taking breaks throughout the day, it's something that I'm constantly working on for myself. But I got a planner last year, and it's divided into 35 minutes segments, and that 35 minutes apparently is a good time for, you know, getting a certain amount done and then taking a 10-minute break. And I set a little alarms because it's amazing how quick 35 minutes rolls by, and so that really helps to keep me on focus. Okay. So Sylvie, you like to make yourself a hot cup of water and lemon and honey, ooh, and take it to bed. Nice, 10 minutes before your time. So that's your little evening ritual and your knockoff. Fabulous. Okay. So thanks for sharing that, folks. And sometimes when we're really, really busy, we can lose sight of what we actually can control. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this, and help you to perhaps focus in on this. Okay, so, and you know, whether it is with yourself or within your team scenario. So what you have control of is your sales process. Okay, and I'm going to share with you my steps to win process, which is all about setting up your sales process according to how the client wants to buy. But you have control of that. You have control of how you're creating your sales tools. You have control of how you design that customer journey. So what do you think you don't have control of? Anybody want to offer an idea on that?
The decision of the client.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That is definitely one big one. We can perhaps influence it, and the better we get at the sales process, it's an area that we might be able to influence, but we can't ultimately control that. You know, the marketplace, right? The economy is an area that we don't have control of, and again, it's just about how we can react to that. And control, another area that we have control of is you. Okay, and reminding your team that they have control of how they are reacting to their workload, to clients, to the marketplace. in their general mindset, in their levels of positivity, they always have control of that. And sometimes we forget these things. And, when you look at that, this area, it's 50%. We can control 50% of what we, think we don't have control of. And it's important to remind your team this of what they can control, especially on the days when they're perhaps finding things a little bit tough or a little bit overwhelmed. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, fab. At any stage, interrupt me if you have any questions, okay? So the big C, well, the big C can be looked at as, I used to speak about it in terms of conversion rate. It could be control. But the big C, I feel that's really important to focus on for the next few years is connection, and really creating that connection with clients. And what is our strategy around that? And what is your strategy around creating a connection with your team? Because they need that. They are looking for that. And how involved and how part of it, how much control do they feel that they have in their role? And of course, C is also for client and thinking like a client. And that is an area that, when focused on, really does gives you the edge. And we can focus in on what are the problems that your clients have and they don't want, right? It's a great expression that I got a lot from Dov Gordon. He's a wonderful marketeer, and I just love how succinct this is. And this really has helped guide a lot of what I teach in helping sales teams to really understand the world of their client first before they start to sell. So what are the problems your clients have and they don't want? And what are the results that they want and they don't have? And once we design a process around that, once you train your team in how to think this way, to be more client-centric, to make sure the client is first, rather than thinking, I have to sell, I have to close the deal. How can they really focus in on the needs of their clients first? Because the client senses this, the client realizes this, and the client can really tell when somebody has been genuine about that, okay? So Rita had emailed me and asked me to cover a little bit about different generations, so in the sales team. So I'm just curious with you there, folks, and maybe you can put it in the chat box. What is the age, is there a median age, or is there an age span in terms of on your sales team, the different types of people or profiles of people on your sales team? You might put it in the chat box there. But there's a lot of work that can be done in this area in terms of really building loyalty with your team, and I feel finding purpose in the work is so important. In this industry, as you know, there's there can be a heavy influx of leads. Some of them not particularly strong leads, but yourself, you have to send something back to the client. And in particular, I think when there's a lot of agents that you're working with, that that this sense of not having control of not getting to speak to the end client can really catch up with people. And a lot of the salespeople that I work with feel that they're just sending out quotations, and they don't see what's the end result, what is the meaning of their work, and how they're really having an impact and an effect on their clients. And sometimes they don't take the time to think that through because they're just so busy sending out leads. And as some of my leader clients say, my team are on a hamster wheel. And they're just running and sending out quotes, and there isn't a lot of thought process put into it, and there isn't a lot of strategy behind that. So sometimes we really need to help the team to see what is the meaning and what is the purpose of their work. Because when people find meaning and purpose in their work, they tend to contribute more and stay. Okay. And meaning is it's healthier than looking for happiness in work. And you know, sometimes this endless pursuit of happiness can be dangerous. And it's really about helping people to find what their contribution is, and for them to feel that they're contributing, and that really helps people more. In particular, you know, the Gen X, and the different styles and the different personalities of the workforce. You know, meaning, I suppose, it can't really be found sending out quotations, right? And how are we helping the team to really think through what is the end goal for the client, and what is the purpose that they're really contributing towards. Now, Adam Grant, he's an educational psychologist, and I can send you a talk that he has done on this area. It's very, very interesting. And he is he's a college, a professor also at Warden in the States. And one of his students came up to him and said that she had made a mistake in choosing a college, that she really focused too much on figuring out what was the best college to go to, instead of what was the college that was the right fit for her. And she was considering moving colleges. And he shared a video, which was a comedy sketch from Saturday Night Live, and it was sketch done by Adam Sandler. And he was talking about his Italian holiday company. It was, you know, completely made up, but he was doing a little bit of a satire on people who were going to Italy and working with his company, and sometimes they were left a little bit disappointed. And his point was that if you're unhappy at home, if you're feeling sad, and you go to another country, you're still going to be your same sad self there, that you're going to bring that sadness with you. And that while he could bring you on a hike, he's not necessarily going to turn you into somebody who is great at hiking. And this really resonated with this particular student. And she realized that she was looking at the college to make her happy. Whereas if she took action and created what was important to her within the college, that would contribute to her purpose, and to give her a little bit more meaning in what she was looking for. So she created these little tea gatherings, and she invited people to them, and she created a community for herself, and a community of people that were like-minded and whose values were shared, and then decided to stay. So she created her own little microclimate. And so how are we helping our teams to find purpose and meaning and add value to what they are doing? And very importantly, how are we helping them to figure out what that is for their client, the purpose of their event? How can they add value to the work of their client? Okay. So people are choosing a career based on what they could learn and what they can contribute. And so I would like you to spend a few minutes thinking, how can you help your team to do this? So we'll take a few minutes, maybe think it through first yourself, and then perhaps we'll do a little, have a little chat about that. So just write, you know, what comes to mind first, what comes straight off the top in terms of how you could help your team, excuse me, in this area. Anybody have any inspiration? Have you had any inspiration? Are you good on that?
I think so. I wrote that maybe to help find meaning and purpose in work, we should share successes regularly and make it a team issue.
Yeah,
that the successes are not individual, but are for the team.
The client successes. Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess the way we ask our client, what was the success of an event is very, very important, because sometimes people are focused in, was the service great? Or if you ask the client like, oh, we loved it, it was a great buzz. But 6 months down the line, did they really get what they needed to get from organizing that event? Because there's a purpose, there's a strategy behind having organized that event. And so it's important to check in with them, not just after the event, but maybe 6 months down the line. Did sales increase? Did they loyalty to from the team? Has it helped with their with their hiring levels, with team loyalty, all of that kind of stuff? Whatever the reason is for having organized an event, for association conferences, it's all about membership, driving sales, and creating that community. So, are we keeping in touch with them after it and ensuring that? Because for sure, your team need to know that. They need to know that they had a big impact in helping creating this change for the client. Absolutely. Okay. So I'll move on now because we still have a few more to get through. But creating trust with your clients and with your team is so important. And that's a picture of my dad and myself. And I still remember, that feeling of elation when he threw me up in the air. And of course, he'd catch me every time. But we almost need to create that level of trust and confidence with our clients and building that community and creating that connection. Okay. And a quick way to build trust is that the client, if they feel understood, okay, I'll send you a link to this article. It's a wonderful article written by a psychologist in Zimbabwe, Dixon Shabanda. And he found that people really weren't coming to the hospital, to a clinical setting, in order to get help, to talk things through. And so he created the concept of a friendship bench. And it's actually different grandmothers around Zimbabwe that are the person who is there to listen. And people are so much more open to coming to a friendship bench as opposed to a hospital or a clinic in order to talk things through and get help. So I thought it was a wonderful way that they've really built a community. So let's look at skill set. So what is the gas in your sales team's tank? So number one, what's their growth attitude? Is there a propensity there for that? The activities and the actions that they are taking. What are the actions they are taking every single day? Because that's ultimately what's going to help them and you get to your goals. And of course, then that skill set, that all-important skill set that they need to look at. So the top people in our industry, there's a number of different areas that they are focused on. Number one is their booking time in their calendar to prospect every day. And if it's an inbound sales team that you're running, that they're reaching out to their client, that they're being proactive in some way. They're finding and they're focused on their market. So who is the profitable business? Who is the most profitable and ideal type of client for your business? And are you focused in on that, or are you taking lots of the little pieces of business that sometimes take up just as much time but aren't profitable? Okay. Are they actively working a call list or a target list? Do they have a top 20 list and are religiously working off that every single day? Or are they getting distracted and losing focus? Are they asking for referrals? You all have perfectly fabulous and happy clients, I'm quite sure, who know a lot more people like them who want to get the same results that they are getting with you. Is there a strategy in place to ask for referrals? Are your team building their social media presence and their own brand on LinkedIn in particular? Are they sending great content to prospects? Content in terms of something that's going to add value to them in their work. And follow up as such an important area that I really see, you know, people taking 2 or 3 attempts to follow up and then saying, oh no, the client isn't interested and giving up. So I've created with a lot of teams that I work with a nurture sequence. Have you got that in place in order to be meaningfully connecting with a client numerous times rather than just 2 or 3 times? And of course, great listening, having a very strong sense of empathy and understanding of the client, and the client really feeling that. Okay, so the steps to win that I've created, number 1 is all about standing out and sounding different, because commoditization has seriously crept into our industry, and a lot of marketing, a lot of sales outreach, everybody is starting to sound the same. So how are you helping your team to stand out and sound different? And then in terms of listening skills, let me give you a minute to listen to this. Can you all hear this? Can you hear this, girls? So tell me what you're hearing.
Many birds
Yeah.
and a cow.
It's actually a sheep. I know it sounds like a cow, but it's a sheep. How many types of birds?
Uncountable.
A great way to sharpen listening skills is to go and sit out in nature and just listen and hear what you're hearing, or observe and be present enough to hear what you are actually hearing. There's about 7 or 8 birds there. I'm not a bird expert. I sent it to a friend of mine who is, but that's one of the sounds that I hear on my morning walks, and that was the dawn chorus. So they're all in competition with each other. It's mainly the males singing there, and they're trying to attract their mate for the season. But again, it's just a fabulous way to focus in and help develop your team's listening skills, because that's such an important part of the client conversation. And as Marina knows, I spend a lot of time in this area with teams, really developing out how they lead a conversation and what are the steps that they need to go through in order to feel that they're in control of a conversation, but really get the client to open up, get the client to start talking, to tell them what they need in order to work with them. And very importantly, being able to have a strategic conversation with the client. And I teach this conversation frame where there's 4 parts to it that the team can walk the client through. A lot of salespeople start selling way too early, and that is actually step 3 in the conversation frame, where you're sharing how you can help them. The client cannot feel understood if they haven't had an opportunity to talk, and that your team are able to lead them with the right questions to get them to open up. So I did a quick poll there on LinkedIn, and I asked this over the last week: what area of sales does your team most need help and support with? And the number one was being strategic with clients. And it's such a critical area to get right this year in terms of building that relationship with the client and really adding value to the client, so that you're emerging from being seen as a commodity, and that you're really seen as someone that the client needs to work with in order for them to get the results that they want to get. And after having a fabulous conversation with clients, it's so important that your team are able to weave that in and personalize a proposal and show the client that they actually did listen to their needs. And I work with teams to show them 3 big areas, but simple areas to change in their proposals, and how to personalize a proposal very quickly. Even if it is that your proposal is generated from the system, what are the areas there that you can change and personalize in order to show the client that you did listen? Building the healthy sales funnel, what are the areas to focus on there? Because the more profitable leads that you put into the sales funnel, the more profitable business comes out of it. And this proactive part here, in going after the business that is profitable for your business, such a critical area. But really what it's all about is, it's not how you want to sell, it's about how the client wants to buy. And is your sales process set up for that? A wow experience, a wow site inspection, a wow way that the client can experience your business, your service, your property from their phone, from their laptop, from a distance. How is that set up? Of course, you have control of how that can be done. Building better sales tools. Again, it's an area of leadership. The sales tools are so important because the clients use them every day to help them make a decision as to who to work with. And referral marketing. So this is that strategy of asking for referrals and word of mouth marketing. How are you designing that? How are you taking control of that? Ultimately, the client doesn't care about your business. They care about their problems, and how much have you that set up in order to help your team to engage in a more proactive way with clients, which is, as Justine says here, and of course, convert more business and make the client journey that much better. And that's the process that I teach, and that's what I help teams to do every day. Okay. Some people will say to me, oh yeah, it's going great with that client, they really like me. That's not strong enough anymore. Really, what our teams need to be able to do is show the client how much value they are bringing to the table. That, your client, whether it's the end client or whether it's an agent, they're going to have an interaction with you. And how well are you creating them and making them a raving fan? Because they have to go to an internal meeting in their business that you will never be invited to. And they have to make sure that they're looking good. Your team have to make them an advocate, have to create in them an influencer, somebody who really wants to be able to stand up and say, this is the team I want to work with. This is the company that I want to work with. And are they left feeling passionate about working with you so that they can internally sell you? Okay. And how is that done? Well, that's by being relevant and adding value to their role. Okay. Being relevant and adding value to their role. Okay. And how are you helping your team to do that? Even companies as big as Salesforce are constantly creating lead magnets in order to attract new clients, in order to start that relationship from a distance, which might start with, trusting them with their email. Turning up to a webinar, whatever that might be. But this leads magnet is a very important part of the process, because a great pitch isn't about opening the conversation. A pitch is not about closing the deal. It's so much around just opening that conversation and starting that step. Okay. Because do you want your clients to be able to say this, that what value can the sales team bring to the prospects that the prospect can't figure out by themselves? They'll be able to find so much information online. You want it to be so clear that they can only get this value by working with your team, that they can't just find it online themselves. Okay, so why aren't there more conversations with clients? Well, there's a fear of hearing no. There's a lack of knowledge on how to lead a strategic conversation. An over-reliance on technology, right? There's a lot of relationships, people are trying to build it through email, and we just can't build relationships through email. Hello, Rita, you're very welcome. I think there's some how are you? I think there's some background noise there, so I just might mute. Thank you so much. A lot of people are saying, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time. Okay, and it's about carving out that time. So Lilo here, she practiced the killer questions to fantastic results. The client actually thanked her for asking such great questions, and said, look, nobody asks those questions anymore, they just show PowerPoint presentations. And he really appreciated that she was thinking that way. So mindset, it's always a choice. Okay, I told you about Anthony earlier, but this is the result that he got from practicing and using his killer questions and picking up the phone and being brave. We spoke earlier about control of the sales process. And in this industry in particular, a lot of business comes in at stage 6 and 7, but really where your team, your prospecting team, your proactive team need to start is at the very beginning, where the something has changed in your client's market, in the buyer's market. They're finding they have new needs. Then they go into ideate and research mode, right? They're looking for a solution, and they find a solution, and maybe it is to run an event. So then they have to build an internal sales, an internal business case, right? They have to decide who's got the budget, who's going to be in charge of this. And then, and only then, do they engage with a vendor and send out an RFP, and then your team can engage. But the more that your team are at this early stage in having conversations around what are the new needs, in picking up the phone now with your existing clients and asking what is coming up this year, what are your priorities for this year, the better decision making you will be able to make, because you will have real lifetime information, right? And you're not just relying on seeing the sales pipeline perhaps dwindle at certain times of the year. So it's really, really important to help them to do that. So real quick, folks, I'll give you a minute to think through these 4 areas, okay? Because this is where most leads are lost, of your sales team. How efficient and how great are they at standing out and doing something different and being creative, right? Or are they on that treadmill and that hamster wheel of just sending out proposals? How great are they at picking up the phone, chatting with the client, but also being strategic in that conversation, and not just talking about, how many people is it for? What are the dates? Is the area confirmed? All of those usual things. That's what everybody's asking. Are they strategic and really able to uncover what's happening in the client's business? How great are they at writing proposals that win, that again are personalized, that stand out, that are different? And how good are they at putting profitable sales leads into that sales funnel? Okay, so I'll just give you a minute to look at that. And I think if you just give yourself a mark out of 10, it's easy for you to go back then afterwards and see, okay, this is an area that I really need to work on. Annabelle, this would be a great area for you to start in on as your new role in director of sales.
Yes, I'm very curious She's going to say now out of 10.
We'll see if Marina and yourself agree on the numbers as well. Okay, everybody got that? I'm just conscious of time. I want to be able to wrap up. Okay, cool. Okay, so mindset, a new mindset is what is going to give you a new result. Okay, so it's the action part in between. How are you guiding, how are you leading the team in taking different actions? Because if they do the same thing, you're going to get the same results. Okay, again, the clients, they don't care about your business, they care about their problems. And conversations create cash. So how versed are your team on really being getting right that strategy area? The dandelion man, I have to tell you that story another time because I'm running out of time now, but this is my friend Connie, and through making a connection, through taking time to have a proper conversation with him, I got the rocks that I really needed to build my patio. And if I didn't take that time, I would never have got my patio built this summer. So now, folks, you might be wondering, okay, how do I help the team to do all these things? How do I help them to stand out and to lead these high converting client conversations and the proposals to win? Well, my Next Steps to Win Sales Skill course is coming up in February. So I'm doing it over two dates. And I will cover these 3 critical areas that will really position your team, give them the confidence to pick up that phone, to lead these strategic conversations. But most importantly, it really helps them to see that sense of purpose, how they impact their clients, and it will really help them to see the value that they bring to the table. Rita, you missed the earlier part of it. I'll send you the recording, but I did speak a lot more about that mindset piece, and you had a question about being able to lead teams of different multi-generations, and them seeing how they contribute to the client, where they add value, where their sense of purpose is very, very important part of that, because sometimes, you know, a lot of your teams that just end up sending out quotes and they just get caught in that email trap of sending out RFPs. So this, I feel, is a very, very important area to get right. If anybody'd like to have a conversation with me on any of these areas, I'm happy to do that. Just write in the chat box there, or send me an email. I have 2 slots available next week and 2 slots available the week after. But for now, thank you so much for your time. It's been fabulous to have a think through with you, and I really appreciate your contributions. Is there an area that anybody wanted to go back on just before we wrap up, or any final questions?
Kiera, is it possible to receive the list of the 4 questions that you just sent, like 3 slides back, or the presentation, whatever is better for you?
I can
because
send
this
you.
is a very important slide that I would like to discuss privately with Annabelle.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Why don't you send me what exactly slides? What exactly?
The one with the 4 questions, like how is your team? How great is the team in this 4 parts?
4 areas to mark them out.
These 4 areas, correct.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So it's number 1, how to the stand out. The second one is how great are they in leading strategic client conversations. The third area is proposals, and how great are these proposals in terms of personalization. Sometimes it's the small little areas that you can really change that has a big impact. And then the 4th is the quality of leads been put into the prospecting funnel. A lot of the time you can wait for leads to come in. They're not necessarily the most profitable leads, but it's the leads that you're going out targeting, that you're finding the right profitable client, the ideal type of client, and there's a strategy built around nurturing them. A lot of the time, those are the more profitable clients. So there are 4 big areas that you need to get right, because that's where a lot of leads are lost and lead opportunities. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shame you missed it all.
I know,
Rita,
but
but things
if you
happen.
could send me the recording, I will
will.
listen to it.
I will. I'll send a
Okay.
copy of the recording. No problem. No problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
So, thank you, folks. Again, feel free. I should be in your inbox, so feel free to email me if there's anything in particular that you wanted to have a strategy conversation with me about, and I'll send those links that I promised to you also. Take care, folks. Have a great rest.
Thank
of
you,
the day.
Kira.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye.